How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Finally, we've got some snow. So I'm going to fire up the 05 Rev and take it for a little boot. Before I do that, I got to throw some new spark plugs in it. So I thought I would take the opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit about fouled spark plugs. Alright guys, if you ride sleds long enough, sooner or later you're going to foul plugs. And there's a few things that I've found in my experience that'll make that more likely to happen. So I'm going to talk about those things after the intro, and then we're going to go for a little ride. So the sled had been running perfectly, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. So I came out and started it the one morning, and it almost started, and then it would just kind of sputter and die. So when that kind of thing happens, good thing to start with is just pull the plugs and have a look at them. All right, you pull your spark plug out, you have a look at it, it's all black and covered with crap. That's a fouled spark plug. So most of you know what's supposed to happen is that you get a spark that jumps the gap between the two electrodes, that ignites the mixture in the cylinder. What happens when that plug gets fouled is that spark can't jump that gap, and instead it'll run down the side of the porcelain to find ground. Now you can foul a spark plug in any motor, but it's going to be a lot more likely on an older snowmobile than it is on something like your ATV or your car, because those are 4-stroke motors. So these old sleds are typically going to be 2-stroke. They're going to have a system for injecting oil directly into the cylinder. And if that mixture doesn't get burned efficiently, then it can build up on the spark plug. So there could be something wrong with the machine, but a lot of times it's the way that you're running it. Now, the first thing I've experienced, and I'll warn you about, don't let them idle too much, right? So I started that. I wanted to make sure my sled was good and warm before I took it out because I didn't want to blow anything up. And I would let it sit in idle for like 5 or 10 minutes and warm itself up. That's not a good practice. If you let these things idle too much, then they will foul plugs. Even if you're out riding, if you're riding at low speeds and consistently low RPM, that'll increase the likelihood that you're going to foul plugs. All right, our season's got off to a lousy start. I've said that before, and I'm 99% sure that the reason that these plugs are fouled is because, like a typical kid with a new toy, I've been sitting out here, starting it, running it for a few minutes, shutting it down. I did that a few times, and I'm pretty confident that's why these plugs are fouled. And don't mock me, guys, because I know you've done it too. Now, you don't want to just start the machine and then pin it, right? Because you do want it to have a little bit of time to warm up, but don't let it sit here and idle for half an hour either. So start it, let it run for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, then ride it. Ride it reasonably slowly at first for another 5 minutes or so to bring it up to temperature, and then you can go ahead and ride. But if you let it just sit and idle too many times, it'll foul, and that's happened to me quite a few times. So that's the type of fouling I'm talking about in today's video. If you find that you're not letting the machine sit at idle or run at low RPM and you're still chronically fouling plugs, then yeah, there can be a mechanical issue with the sled as well. So, you know, you could have a weak spark, bad rings, low compression, anything upstream from the cylinder. So take your air box off and make sure you don't have a nest in it. If there's a crack in the boot that's letting too much air in and the machine is compensated by changing the mixture. Oil pump problems. There's a lot of different things that'll make your machine foul plugs. I would really caution you guys about screwing around with the oil pump on your machine. If you think it's running a bit rich, you're better off fouling a few plugs than trying to lean it out and leaning it out too much and end up blowing your motor. All right, guys, one other thing I'm going to share before I put these spark plugs in, and this is my own experience, and I phoned NGK before I did this video and I asked them the same thing. When you foul a plug, it's done. So I've taken these out and I've tried cleaning them in lots of different ways. I've tried electrical cleaner, I've tried brake cleaner, tried wire brushes, sandpaper. You take these out, you clean them, you put them back in, and you think, oh, there must be something else wrong. It's not a foul plug. Once these foul, they're done. Once the porcelain and the electrodes get contaminated, they're almost uncleanable, is what NGK said to me. And that's been my experience every time you throw a new set of spark plugs in and it runs fine. Now, if you've come up with, I'm not saying there is no way to clean them. If you've come up with a way to do it, then post something in the comments. You'd be saving me a few bucks. But in my experience, when you foul a plug, you replace it. All right, guys, so we topped the oil up. We got fresh gas in it. We got fresh spark plugs. Let's see if I'm right. And it was just a fouled plug. Now, you probably noticed I don't have a 2020 trail permit on this sled yet. I'm not going to be on trails today. We've still got lots of red on the trail map. But if you're really observant, you might have also noticed I don't have my Ontario registration sticker on the sled yet. I did actually buy it. I just realized I haven't stuck it on the sled yet. Now we're legal. All right, let's go for a ride. So none of our trails are open yet. All But yeah, we can get out and have some fun. I love this machine. Just have to kind of watch it because a lot of people walk their dogs around here. That ruined somebody's afternoon really quick. This actually is where I got married. I've been riding now for the last 2 days. This machine has run flawlessly. Lots of power, no stalls, no fouled plugs. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that those plugs were fouled because of the way I was running it earlier in the season. It's pretty normal to foul spark plugs on a snowmobile. That's why they almost always have a place to carry a spare set. On this one, it's in the front of the side panel. On the 670, it's in the belt cover. But always make sure you've got a good set of spare spark plugs with you just in case. I think that's it for another video, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. If you like videos just like this one, take a second, subscribe to the channel. If you click the bell icon, you'll get notified whenever I post a new video. So, until next time, I'm David Clark. Thanks for taking the time to watch. So if you ride a that's why they usually come with a place to store a spare set. Ow. Now, if you guys read.